Being a single mom and doing it all by yourself is brutal. Learn the brain and energy tools to get back to your center and overcome your challenges. Welcome to Single Moms Doing It All. This is Muriel Felous, your host. And today I have an amazing interviewee, a guest that I personally know, and I met her some time ago. I will tell you all about it in a moment. I just want to remind you that if you didn't take advantage of the Mother's Day episode where I shared an inner journey to get guidance from your guides, your ancestors, and get also acknowledged as a mom by all those beings that are there to help you, go ahead and look on the podcast. You'll see that episode because this is really something that I prepared for you as a treat for Mother's Day. The other thing is, if you are inclined to, please go and review the podcast in iTunes or anywhere you're listening to it, because I'm starting a contest for people who are reviewing my podcast and sharing any episode. Tag me in anything you do, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or just in iTunes. I'll see it, because you can win, and that will go until the end of June. There are 3 prizes. You can win a personal session with me. The second prize is a free month in my membership. And the third prize is a tapping session that will be customized to your issue, your need, your challenge, whatever you want me to create that for. So that's it for the announcement. And now let's go and introduce our guest, our amazing guest today. 2-time stage 3 cancer survivor, Emilee Garfield is the mother of 3 miracle babies, an author, and a movement educator. A certified live a new story and wellness coach specializing in therapeutic Pilates and yoga, Emilee empowers women facing death, loss, divorce, heartbreak, cancer, or physical pain to live fearlessly on their own terms. I love that. And I can tell you that I personally joined her classes recently, and she's good. She's the real deal. So welcome, Emilee. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I don't know why I put my glasses now, but anyway, I'm done reading. So before we go into what you're doing, I would love if you could share your story, because it is so inspiring. If anybody think they have challenges and they can't overcome, your story will show that you can overcome almost the impossible. So I would love.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I met you, was it last year? Or I can't remember
Oh,
time.
I think 2 years ago, 2.5. It goes so fast.
And, just in that point, since then, you've seen me really transform and grow more. So it just goes to show, when you put your effort in and you invest in yourself, that you really can make a comeback and you can become anything that you want to become. But you do have to do the work, and it's not easy. And it doesn't just come to you. You have to know what you want and go for it. But that's what I would like to really share today. So I'll try to make my story as brief as possible, because it's a long story. But basically, the journey started a long time ago. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with a rare childhood cancer called rhabdomyosarcoma. And at that time, my father had committed suicide. So, being a little girl, I didn't know really what that would mean for my future. And it didn't really hit me until I was actually a young woman, in high school and then college. And I started noticing that I almost had this feeling of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, always wanting attention from people. I felt depressed and sad, but I didn't want to be that depressed person because my parents had depression. So I didn't want to do that or be that. So I tried on my own to overcome this internal sadness. So I never shared with anyone my truth. Well, eventually that led to me being in a marriage where I was feeling unhappy. I wasn't following my dreams. And I'm not here to blame or become the victim of in my
Yeah.
story, but to rather empower my story because um, I just noticed that, there's only one hero in all of our stories, and it's us.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was confused. I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't even know who I was, to be honest. All I know is that I was broken, and I kept, these feelings. I was a young mom. I had 3 young kids. I was working, and I was just on this like rat race and just going with the flow pretty much, but not really living. I had everything I wanted. I had a house in Santa Barbara. I had a marriage. I had my 3 beautiful kids from a surrogate mom, but yet I still wasn't happy. And at that moment, I went into a really dark depression. I ended up in a psych ward, and my husband called me crazy. And what I realized was the therapist said, "You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're having an episode of depression. Have you ever gone into therapy?" And I said, "No, no one's ever talked to me about this." He said, "You're experiencing some post-traumatic stress from a childhood trauma." And I didn't realize like how much trauma, if we like hold down and
Oh
don't
yeah.
talk about it,
It
it
goes.
can cause disease.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up going through a divorce. And then 2 months later, I was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. I had hit rock bottom. I wanted to die again. I just thought it'd be easier to give up. Here I am, single mom. I wake up with a new colon bag where I poop on in a bag on my stomach. I'm a Pilates and yoga teacher, can't work. I'm not getting any child support. I don't have any disability insurance. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, like literally. I was desperate. I was in desperate times, and it would have been easier to give up. And there was a moment where I went to end of life therapy because they sent me to end of life therapy with my cancer, very low survival rate. But I decided after talking to the therapist, he said, you don't have to do this. And then it was like this light bulb came on, and I was like, well, I have 3 little kids to live for. Like, of course I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to fight till the end. I'm going to do anything I can to survive this cancer. And so, we have options. We can focus on the statistics that told me I had 27% chance to live, or I can focus on my mindset of, why can't I be that one person that survives? And that's what I started doing. I started investing, and it sounds crazy, but I started investing in myself. I started taking life coaching courses, and that's kind of when I met you. I became a certified Live Your New Life story coach, which means I learned how to shift my thinking.
Your story.
And I had a story, and my story went like this: you don't matter, you're worthless, you're unlovable. And that's what my story was. So until I was willing to accept and acknowledge that I am part of my story, I don't have to be the victim in my story, but I can look at, the whole story and start to realize like, oh, they probably have a story too. And I started to shift the way I blame people, held anger, and just gave me more compassion towards people. And it really helped me in my healing journey. And I started writing a book for cancer survivors. I shared my story. I started writing a whole course on exercise, because that's what I teach, is movement as medicine. And that became my healer. I saw energy healers. And this was probably the most amazing story. So I will share it. It's in my book that I wrote, Reclaim Your Strength and Hope. It's just a story about my journey.
Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
So I'll put the link also so people
Okay,
can
cool.
go and grab it.
But I saw an energy healer in San Diego from Mexico. And at this point, I was willing to do anything to survive. And I was super skeptical. Like, I didn't know what an energy healer was. I wasn't into all that. He put his hand on my body, and he said that this is crazy. He said, my body's radiating heat so hot that I'm probably going to die of anger before I die of cancer. And it was like, whoa. So
Yeah.
that's when I started doing the healing work, that I have to just release toxic people in my life. That was my relationship. Friends. I lost a lot of friends through this marriage and cancer. But then I realized like the people that are really showing up for me, like I met you, I met all these women at the writers retreat, and entrepreneurs, like moms that don't judge me. And I created my own little tribe. And that's when I really realized that, maybe I haven't been living my life the way I should have, or I didn't know. I didn't have the tools back then. And that's where I am at today. So pretty much, I mean, that's my story in a nutshell.
And we're moms, so kids
I
can
know.
be here, and it happens to
My
me.
kids are on Zoom. I got, I try to get my business over here, and I run 3 businesses. So while I was going through cancer and a divorce, I never gave up, and I don't want you to give up. So, we can think about, it's just impossible. Like what I went through,
Yeah,
even my lawyer and my doctors were like, "You're amazing. Like we all thought you were going to die." And it was like the
yeah,
shift in my mindset. I said, "You know what?
yes,
It's 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 hard. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, it was the hardest thing I ever went through. And there were times when I just sat and cried. But if I just sit and cry, my mentor would tell me, okay, like cry for 5-10 seconds, and then you got to move forward. Because when
yeah,
you're stuck, and if you just focus on what you can't do, you stay in that cycle of what I can't do. But you really can't do it. You just have to figure out how to shift and take action steps. And for me, it was all about waking up every day, um, and do, if it was one email, I checked one email, if it was one phone call, it was something to move me
yeah.
from where I was to where I wanted to go.
You feel progress.
It's taken me 5 years to get to where I am to grow my business,
Yeah,
but I did not wait until I survived cancer. I did
yes,
not wait until I was divorced. I started living my life in the way I wanted to from that moment on. That's why I say cancer saved my life. That's why my Instagram's cancer saved my life. People think I'm crazy, but it really was my wake up call to
but
start
yeah.
in my life.
Also, for me, it's not comparable to what you went through, but I faced Hep B and I almost died. So it was also a wake up call. And then I went into depression, like you said, because I was focusing on what was going wrong in my life. It spiraled me slowly, slowly into depression without realizing that I was going down, because I've always been somebody positive. So the shifting the focus is crucial. This is the key. What I noticed in your story, and where you had an extreme awareness of realizing that you didn't value yourself. Because when I see clients, sometimes they will come to me for a different problem, and I know as a coach that the source of mostly everything is your self-worth and what you think you deserve, what you're going to accept, what you're not going to accept. But most of the time, women are not aware that that's where they are, and they say, "Of course, I value myself. Look, I'm buying stuff for myself. I'm going to yoga. I'm doing this and that." But deep inside, it's unconscious. So what made you aware of that? Is it something that you just knew? How did you become aware of the fact that you didn't value yourself?
Well, one, I was going to therapy, and then
Oh, okay.
therapy was, they didn't really say that. They kept saying like, you need to love yourself. You need to love yourself. I
Yeah.
kept letting people like disrespect me. And it was like in the same relationship, kept repeating the same
Yes.
behaviors. I, I didn't value myself because I didn't even respect my own self, because, I would search outside of my relationships for other people to make me happy. I
Yeah.
wasn't looking, like I never thought about the fact that I could make my own self happy. I didn't
Yeah.
even get it. It wasn't even like, it just didn't even like make sense. So now when I went through other coaching courses, and I have done boundary coaching, and I realized that the only thing that's been holding me back in growing my business, is not believing in myself.
Yeah.
Having fear of judgment of what those people will think of me, or needing validation from what those people will think of me. Reducing my prices, just let's say, in my membership or my coaching, because someone can't afford it. So then it's like comes on to me. But the real truth is if I value myself and my worth, because I'm very experienced, I'm very talented, and once I start believing in me, that all shifts, and the money comes, the people will come. But until I believe it, I'm going to stay stuck in that story. And that's what I've been working on. And that's where I'm now helping like other cancer survivors
Yeah.
and other people that went through the same trauma as me.
And that's funny because we can value ourselves, but we can still have days where we are down as
Oh yeah.
far as acknowledging our value. And we can have patterns that will show us that we are not valuing ourselves enough yet. I know for myself is overworking. And last weekend, like I was telling you before the interview, I was stuck in bed with a backache because I pushed too much. Because, like you, I'm very busy. I have a job, I have my business, I have the podcast, and I have my clients. And as I was relaxing, a client fell on my lap. So I paid attention and I said, okay, remember. That's what the universe is asking you to do. Take time to relax, value yourself in that way. Did
That's
you?
another thing that you say like that is because I work a lot. I have 3 jobs. I have a nonprofit I'm creating. And as a healer myself and my job, I'm always taking care of everyone else's needs. And I'm sure that's very common with moms because I'm a mom too. And I get so busy and I'm telling everyone else to exercise and do that. And then by the end of the day, I feel like I haven't found time for myself. And like, I can't keep going at this rate or I will have another cancer. I will break
Yeah.
down. I need to slow down, value my time and kind of reassess like what's most important to me right now. And I have to like, I might have to walk away from some of my clients in my studio because they're not bringing, I love them all, but my passion is like, I have a new path now and I feel like I have a new mission and a new purpose. And if I don't feel joy or if I don't feel like that give and take from a client, like I'm just not willing to see them anymore. And I don't even care how much they pay me. It just pulls my energy down. Same thing with friendships, right? If you
Yeah.
give and they don't call you back, I'm realizing this too. I'm thinking like, I don't even know if I have that many friends that I can call on, And
Like
I'm
you.
like, geez, what's wrong with me? But maybe I'm just attracting the wrong people and I'm putting too much effort. So I'm trying to kind of re-look at this in my own life too, as just a normal person.
And it's you will re-examine the same scenario, because for me that overworking pattern, I'm on top of it, and when I forget to be on top of it, it comes back to teach me to reinforce the need to meet that need for relaxation, because I do meditate, I do everything to take care of me, but sometimes, let's say I'm launching a project or something, I forget. And then that's when the universe is telling me you're going to pay attention, because pain is a very strong motivator and you need to exercise before you do anything else. I know that now.
And for me, my movement is my meditation.
Yes.
So I teach
Okay.
everything. So thankfully, it's how I meditate and I get in the zone. But I do notice something for me is I need to take care of my health by eating earlier. Like I just know this. Like I missed my smoothie this morning because I had a client at 7, and then now it's 1 o'clock my time, and I haven't even had breakfast yet. And so I know like that's just not acceptable. And
Yeah.
so these are the things that you recognize and go, oh, well, as a busy mom, a business owner, if I don't eat, that's fueling my brain. My brain can't
Yes.
function to run. And then I'm going to crash and I'm not taking care of myself again because I don't consider myself worth or important. So it's like, it can be as simple as that. Like
Yes.
just shift one thing. Yeah.
It's a question of, it's also a question of valuing yourself enough to do that first for you, and the rest after. Because for me, I know that this doing too much, I'm doing it less and less because I'm more aware, but it sometimes happens and it reminds me, put something on a schedule to relax first before you even work. And it's for us to spot. For you, it's going to be eating before you start coaching. We all have those areas of what I would say weakness or habits. They're really habits, they're patterns,
Yeah.
where we have to spot them and shift them. And maybe we're going to have to do it 5, 10 times, and then we'll be staying like that forever.
Yeah.
The movement. So you mentioned the movement. How did movement help you in your own journey and your recovery? Was it something that, because I know I'm in your membership, so I know that you were doing it even when you were at the lowest.
So I've been teaching Pilates and yoga and movement for 22 years. I worked in a rehab clinic. My first job was with people with MS, so I have a real passion for helping people. And when I was in the hospital when I got cancer the second time, I was in so much pain. They were giving me all these morphine drugs, and nothing was helping me.
Yeah.
Nothing was helping me, and they didn't tell me to get up and exercise and walk around. They were afraid. But my intuition, I listened to my intuition, and
Right.
my intuition told me to do more if I want to go to the hospital in a safe way, of course. So
Yeah.
I started doing exercises that I teach my people at my rehab clinic and my studio, safe things. And I started writing it down. And that eventually, got me excited. Like, wow, I might be able to create a book out of this, or hey, I can create a membership out of this, and I can help cancer survivors. So that one thing got me excited to wake up every day and keep going. So if you don't have something that excites you every day, like I
Yes.
encourage you to find that, because that's what got me out of the dark place.
Yeah.
I had a lot of shame around feeling sad and depressed. I didn't even share my story because my husband told me I was crazy. So I thought maybe I was crazy. But now I realize, like, the more we share our truth and the more we find a sisterhood to be honest, if you can't be honest and share the truth, like there's something that needs to be healed inside. And for me,
Yeah.
there was a lot of shame, a guilt. There was so much that now I'm so open. I'm like, oh, I don't even have any shame anymore, because I see that everything I did, even my mistakes, have taught me, they've taught me lessons.
Yeah.
They've helped me grow as a woman, as a mom. I'm a better mom now because of that.
Of course.
And I now see, like, okay, everything happens for a reason. And I'm just going to accept that, my ex-husband is here and he brought me these beautiful kids, and it was a moment in our journey, a chapter, but I'm in a new chapter, and I'm just going to embrace it and try to learn from it. And yeah, I mean, I use my movement in healing and other women through cancer, but in my studio, I teach anyone that has,
Yeah.
injuries.
Yeah. And it helps. Um, as far as setting boundaries, I suspect, because I've done that journey too. I've lost the friends. I removed the people in my life who were not good for me. I understood that some came to kick my butt so I could grow. How? I know it can be hard. What helped you at the beginning setting boundaries? Was it the therapy, or what was it?
So, it's been a journey for me, and I'm actually in Nancy Levin's boundary coaching mentorship right now. But, I'd say 7 years ago, I was in a retreat center for women. I didn't even know what a boundary was, to be honest. Like, sometimes I feel
Yeah,
like stupid.
because
I was like, what's a boundary? Like, you let some guy spit in your face and yell at you and have sex with him when he tells you to, because it's his job. And I try to use my words, but it wasn't enough. So I got resentment. So now, um, it was the therapist back then, and I wrote a script. I had a script. So I had a script that said, when you do this, blah, 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 like the time, and my request is, so I say that if you do this again to me, like, I will call the police on you. I will do this. And I had a script, but I was afraid. Like, I was afraid for so long to use my voice. But when I came in with my script and the therapist was crying. She said, I'm so proud of you. So it was like, it just got easier and easier. It's taking me
yeah,
7 years. And then I found Nancy, and I found, like, okay, I can do the same thing with friendships. Like, when
yeah,
you say this and I feel hurt. So I don't blame people. Now I kind of use I feel. And, do you think you could, and, just shift it, but you never want to start with blaming people, because then they get defensive. So that's really helped me. And I even done it with clients now. So it's really helped me in this. I had a client who wanted, um, you know, it's been the hardest, actually, is she keeps coming in and she wants a discount. And, well, if I come in this, I'm like, this is my price. Like, sorry, like, I can't give you. And so I had to set boundaries with my clients. And just, that was really hard for me, because I'm a giver. Like, I
that is,
give. And I start realizing, like, if for me, what I've noticed is when I give, people don't respect you the same.
Don't value.
They take advantage of you. But when you set the boundary up front, like, no, this is what it is, this is what it costs, they just, boom, you don't have to have that conversation again. So that's something I'm learning in all of my relationships.
And isn't it funny that I had to do that with friends or coworkers who know that I am a coach and they were expecting free stuff, and I had to set that boundary. That
It's hard.
was something pretty hard for me to do, but once it's done, on the other side, you feel so solid in what you're doing that I signed up some people through talking 10 minutes at the supermarket because I met someone and she said something and I said, oh, I explained to her what was going on and she said, how much do you take? When can I sign up? And it was that easy because you're aligned with
You
your
know,
value.
I just, right before I got on the call with you, I just got an alert on my phone that I had a woman sign up for my $300 coaching membership program. I didn't talk to her at all. She just followed me on Instagram. She's on my email list.
Yeah.
When you talk from the heart and you share without, you just be yourself. Like, I can
Yes.
finally be myself now. And I can finally be myself without worrying about what so-and-so thinks. I don't really care anymore, you know, or validation. It's such a great place to be free. I feel free. Like, I would talk to you. We were having dinner, right? I was crying. I was like, oh
I
God.
remember you were not the same person at all.
No.
The
And even Nancy,
vibe was different.
in 1 year I've changed. So every
Yeah.
year I'm growing and growing. And I really 100% know it's because I've invested in myself.
Yeah.
When I had no money, I put money on a credit card because I just knew that a price comes with anything, right? There's consequences. So there was going to be a consequence for me not investing in myself. There's going to be a consequence of me investing in myself. But I just knew that I couldn't keep living my life the way I was. It just wasn't worth it. And I would have paid anything to find happiness. And that's what I did. I literally paid to find a journey, but it's okay because I'm a better person because of it.
Yeah. And plus, I have a coach because I think everyone
All coaches.
needs a soundboard or a reflection of what we are not able to see ourselves. And we need somebody when you're doing it the way you're doing it, and I am doing it where we are conscious of our value, it becomes sacred. It really literally becomes sacred work because I believe that we're matched by the universe with the clients that we can serve the best. Somebody will resonate with you, you can serve them the best. See, the people that we resonate with, it's not random. So
And what else has been really amazing to me and eye-awakening is, you know, I really want to become a coach, right? But Nancy would always tell me that, well, you can't coach until you've healed this, this, and this. And like,
yes.
and I was like, oh, I thought I was healed, but maybe I'm not, because it keeps coming up. So when someone triggers me, I'm like, oh, there's still more work to do. And it's been interesting. But now, of course, we're all human. We're all going to have things come up. But what happens is we rebound faster. And now I have tools.
Oh, yes.
And that's really the gift. And when I work with people that go, oh, like my life's like perfect, and like, you know, my husband supported me for cancer, and then part of me is like, really, like, am I the only person that struggles? But the truth is, I just don't think, you know, maybe nothing's bad happened to them yet, but I don't know.
We all struggle at our own level. I mean, maybe our challenges are stronger, but other people will struggle really hard because, let's say, their husband will talk to them in ways where they're going to feel that tiny compared to the husband who's making the money. And there are so many people who are in denial about stuff that don't work because we're not taught to interact in a respectful way from very young kids. We're taught to give, especially as women. And I think seeing the tiny changes on the road and knowing the pain, because for me, I know the strong pain of being a single mom, depressed and scared because your teenagers are acting out in ways that can literally maybe kill them. I got out of that. And because I know the pain, you can relate to the person. I can feel their pain. And it's such a beautiful journey. It becomes easier and easier, even if the challenges aren't they don't disappear always, but you perceive them and approach them in a different fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're coaching women. You coach, so you coach one-on-one and you coach in groups as well, right?
Yeah, I do. Right now I'm mostly doing like the groups, because the women, they like the community. So they like to share and hear each other's stories. So they're really enjoying that. And of course it's more affordable for cancer survivors. So they like that. And I have a membership where I exercise and I teach them exercise, and then I also teach live classes for anyone. They don't have to be in cancer, but I have kind of like 3 little sections. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you can they can
And
find
I
it.
and I also have scholarships. So if anyone knows anyone who's touched by cancer, everyone has cancer. If they are struggling financially, I have a nonprofit cancer recovery project, but it's on my website, emileegarfield.com. And so,
Yeah, and I will put it in.
send them to me, because I have so many different programs for survivors, thrivers, family members, right? We're all touched by cancer somehow. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And for people who are diagnosed and they're still in fear, is there something like, did you have a sentence or a word or something in your mind that helps you hang on and want to continue instead of just give up? Is there something that you
There
use?
was a word, actually. My one of my best friends, Anne, would text me every day. This too shall pass, and she'd leave me a little heart. So it was
Okay.
like my little mantra, like this too shall pass. It's like the storm, and I kept thinking, like, okay, I know, of course, the fear of dying, and my biggest fear was dying before I got cancer, and then I got cancer, and I was like, whoa, like fear is right in your face now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I worked with my shaman who helped me overcome fear, and he just said, we're all going to die, right? We're all going to die. And I just knew, and I didn't want to die in fear. I didn't want to die. I was already like so unhappy. I didn't want to go out. If I was going to go out, I didn't want to go out like leaving this legacy of being a failed marriage, bad mom. I wanted to leave something like as a memory. And so I started changing my life, my story, even when I was dying. And the other thing was, I started to become happier. I started living more, and people were freaking out. They're like, how is she so happy? Look at her. And they're like gossiping behind my back. But it gave me this fuel and this power to make a comeback and shock everyone. And that's what I did.
So 2 elements, and one element is having that sentence, "These too
Yeah.
shall pass," and the other element is having a purpose
A
to
purpose.
surviving. And that's, I don't know if you know the book from Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He's talking about people in consent, oh my God, what's up with me today in English? Concentration camps. Here
Oh,
we go. And he was saying that he studied, because he was a psychiatrist and he was there, and he saw that the people who survived
yeah.
were the ones who had a purpose to tell the story after, or some kind of purpose. So it's very, very
And
powerful.
I was reading this book. I don't have it in but it was, it talked a lot about post-traumatic growth and post-traumatic stress. And
Yeah.
there's 2 people you can get stuck in, oh, poor me, I'm the victim, my husband was a jerk, he left me, cheated on me, whatever, or I got cancer, or like use your story and grow from it. And that's what I chose to do. And that's what I really encourage. Anyone's capable of doing that. You just, again, it comes back into having a purpose and believing in your story. And for me, this was probably the ultimate thing. Okay, my story was, you don't matter. And I had a husband that would tell me, nobody cares about your story. Nobody cares that you had cancer, that your dad committed suicide. All you do is talk about yourself. And it was like, oh my God, like maybe he's right. So I just shut down.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to tell my story. And it wasn't until other people kept telling me, wow, what an amazing story you had. Like, you should share your story. And I was like, well, he told me I shouldn't. So it was like, that's probably why I'm not married anymore, So it's like, your story does matter. We all have a story, and we're all here as women to power each other. All our stories are different, but we're all connected in some way.
Yes, and it depends which voice you listen in your mind, the one in your case of your husband or the one of the other people, and we all have those voices.
Yeah.
So you said it already, to contact you or find you, it's Emilee Garfield, and I will put the link here on the description of the episode.
Yeah, my name's Emilee. It's spelled differently.
Yeah, I'll put the link to make sure people get that. And you also on Instagram, and I don't know where else.
So my Instagram's at Cancer Saved My Life.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find all my information. I have all my links, and my book is on there. If you go to Instagram or Cancer Saved My Life, that's the easiest, and you can find everything else on there.
Great, because I'm sure in the audience, practically everybody has someone that they know who has cancer, and that could be very helpful.
Yeah, and I have a lot of people that follow me that don't have cancer, and they like, oh my gosh, you're so inspiring. So it's cancer is not my story. My story is how I made a comeback as a human being, a little girl that was broken, and to have all these traumatic things happen to her, and just show you that anything's possible. That's my story.
Yeah, to inspire people. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because sometimes people get stuck in their story thinking that it's unsurmountable and impossible to overcome. But yet when you see example like yours, you can tell yourself, if she did what she did with everything she had, maybe there is a way I can overcome my challenge. Maybe I shouldn't give up.
Yeah, I love that. I want to end with one thing that really helped me probably the most, and it was this is a good visual. So, I didn't know where my life was going. It was so uncertain, and I was going through divorce and cancer, and I could barely walk. I mean, I was in so much pain, but I would go for a walk down the beach, and we had palm trees, and I would just measure, like literally measure the palm trees, and I would go, okay, I couldn't even barely walk from one tree to the other. But, every time I would go out there, I would go, one day I want to go down the road to that very end of the palm tree. And it was, let's say it was 3 miles or something. 3 miles seemed like a freaking marathon to me, right? So I started off where I was, which was broken and it couldn't move. And I took little baby steps, and I took little action steps. But what I didn't do was do nothing. So whatever you do, if you do nothing, you're going to stay where you're at. If you pick up and do one little baby thing a day, you can move forward. So if you have that big vision of where you are like today and where you want to go, that's how you're going to move forward.
And Tony Robbins showed a graphic one day when I was in a seminar. It's a circle, and he showed, the diagonal, and he said, if you change just, let's say, 2% of the angle at the basis, on the circumference of the circle, the difference will be multiplied. So any little step that you took, it compounds like interest almost. I mean, you can tell I'm in finance. So, so it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And 10 years later, you're a completely different person, completely different life. So that's a great advice.
It's all possible.
It's possible. I want to thank you for being here with us today. I know it was difficult for you because of the kids. We are all in confinement.
Yeah.
And but I really appreciate it. And for our audience, go and check out. I'll put all the links below this episode, and go and check her out. You will be inspired. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
Too. Bye.
Bye. Mwah.
Being a single mom can be challenging, but you don't have to face it alone. Join our community at facebook.com/groups/single and doing it all, and receive tools, tips, and free group coaching. And if you like this podcast, please review and rate us on iTunes. I would really appreciate it.